Representative James Comer accuses Democrats of having an ulterior motive for blocking DHS funding.
The truth of the matter is the Democrats want to disrupt the economy as much as they can because they know the number one issue in the election is the economy.
Various organizations are throwing their support behind a bill to end dangerous, unethical practices by abortion pill providers. Chris Woodward has more.
The Clean Water for All Life Act is from Illinois Representative Mary Miller. It would amend Title 18 of the United States Code to prohibit chemical abortions conducted without the physical presence of a healthcare provider and establishes safeguards to ensure proper medical oversight and responsible disposal of abortion-related medical waste. Supporting organizations include American Principles Project, Family Research Council, Concerned Women for America, and Students for Life, where Kristen Hawkins is president.
This is the most innovative attack on abortion that the pro-life movement has engineered since the fall of Roe versus Wade. And I don't say that lightly. This is critical because when we've been talking with legislators, with administration officials, everyone agrees that we have to do something about chemical abortion pills, a leading cause of infant death in our country. But then the excuses start. Well, we can't do this because we won't get the majority of Americans to support it, or this is very hard, this is bureaucracy. This bill is easy. It doesn't matter if you're pro-life or pro-choice. Every American cares about what's in our water. Every American wants their family to be drinking crystal clear drinking water, as President Trump calls it, that doesn't harm us.
Co-sponsors of the legislation include Texas Representative Michael Cloud, South Carolina Rep. Ralph Norman, and Tennessee Representative Tim Burchett.
For American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh.
At Wesley Biblical Seminary, we believe God is raising up a movement across our nation and around the world who hold fast to the inerrancy of Scripture and the hope of holiness. We do this through bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees, certificate programs, and even training for lay people. So whatever your next step is in being equipped for ministry, we're here for you. And if you believe these are the kind of pastors we need leading churches in the future, we invite you to think about giving to Wesley Biblical Seminary. Learn more about us at wbs.edu.
Welcome to Today's Issues, offering a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Tim Wildmon, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to AFR. Today's Monday, March the 23rd, 2026. And joining me in studio for the program today is Ed Battagliano. Good morning, Brother Ed.
Good morning, Tim.
And Fred Jackson. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Tim.
Chris Woodward's out today.
Chris is in the office. He'll be with us tomorrow.
Okay, I have an empty chair over here for him.
Yeah.
He'll be here tomorrow.
There's kind of little sadness in your tone there.
I didn't see Chris over here to my right, and sometimes he's here. But you guys alternate Mondays, right?
Yeah, we do.
All right, so you think I know these kind of things?
I didn't know that they alternate on Mondays.
All right, so a lot to talk about today. We hope you had a nice weekend. The weather, at least where we live, has been very pleasant. Am I right?
Yep, no complaints.
I walked out of the house this morning, nice breeze, cool.
It was like an October morning out there.
It was gorgeous.
It's a nice weather for most of the country, I think.
Hawaii is the exception right now.
Hawaii's getting just like
pummeled.
What, rain?
Yeah.
Flooding. Serious
Massive
flooding. Yes.
Yeah. Trouble in paradise.
Mm-hmm.
Right there. So there's a lot of flooding going on, in the state of Hawaii. All right, Fred, what's leading the news this morning?
Well, a very tragic story at LaGuardia Airport. I'll try to set this up because we already have air traffic control audio leading up to this crash. Basically, it is an airplane on approach to LaGuardia. They're given clearance to land. But unbeknownst to the airplane crew, the pilot and co-pilot, a airport fire truck had been dispatched to another runway. There was a minor problem with another airplane, and the collision occurred between the airplane and this fire truck. What you're going to hear is ATC, air traffic control, talking to both the airplane on approach and then talking to also the fire truck, okay? So have a listen to this, cut number 1.
Truck 1 and Company, LaGuardia Tower. Truck 1 and Company. Truck 1 and Company, LaGuardia Tower, requesting to cross 4 at Delta. Truck 1 and Company, cross 4 at Delta. Truck 1 and Company, 4 at Delta. Frontier 4195, just stop there, please. Stop, truck 1, stop. Stop, truck 1, stop. Stop, truck 1, stop. Delta 2603, go around, runway heading 2000. 646. 646, I see you collide with vehicle, there's a pole position, I know you can't move.
Just a horrible moment. It was a stormy night. It was just after 11 o'clock last night. An Air Canada CRJ-9, which seats about 80 people, was on approach. It's given clearance to land, lands on that runway, but at the same time, as you just heard, the air traffic controller had given permission to the fire truck to cross that active to get to this other runway. And what happened was the plane crashed into that fire truck. Sad to report, the pilot and the co-pilot were both killed. If you've been near a TV or you've gone to your internet this morning on your computer, you probably have seen this Air Canada RJ-9. When it hit that fire truck, it kind of rode up on the fire truck. And so you see the plane kind of tilted backwards, sitting on its tail. So there were about 50 people aboard the airplane who were injured. Most of those have been released from the hospital, but there are some who are still in fairly critical condition. A little later on this morning, Fox had released a audio of the air traffic controller talking to another pilot, and the air traffic controller says, "I messed up." It was really sad, really sad. I mean, being an air traffic controller is one of the most difficult jobs, especially at a LaGuardia or Kennedy or Atlanta. All of those, they have a horrible job. Catherine Garcia is with the Port Authority of New York. She talks more about this crash. Cut number 2.
At approximately 11:40 last night, Air Canada Flight 8646, operated by Jazz, collided with the Port Authority aircraft rescue and firefighter vehicle on runway 4. Initial numbers indicate that 41 passengers and crew were transported to the hospital, as well as the ARF officers. At this time, we understand that 32 have been released, but there are also serious injuries.
Now, we also have audio of a passenger aboard that plane, and he describes what it was like at that moment of impact. Cut number 3.
We were coming in pretty fast. It was like a regular flight, like always. But as we were arriving, we came down really hard, and then we stopped really quickly, and then about 2 seconds later, we just had an absolute slam. Everybody was flying everywhere. I mean, the plane started veering off left and right, and there was, it was chaos. I mean, it didn't feel like there was anybody in control of anything.
Yeah, so there you have it. LaGuardia, at last report, is likely to be closed until just after noon today while they deal with this.
Now, as you said, Fred, and you were a pilot in the military in Canada.
Did some training, yes.
Yeah, so this would seem, like you said, air traffic control. You don't look away from your screen like everyone else does on a computer screen. You can look away and take a bite of your sandwich, or you can't do that with air traffic control. I know there's probably a lot of automated help, but there is so much going on, especially in a high traffic area like the Northeast. So that's one thing. But I wonder too, has an air traffic control been hit in terms of the government shutdown? Are they affected in terms of having full staff?
I haven't heard that report.
Okay.
No.
I was just wondering if maybe being tired or, overworked might have entered into it. I guess we'll find out. By the way, kudos to your department, American Family News. This story is up on AFN with a video. AFN keeps, Fred, those who read it and get the daily email with the news stories, keeps everyone up to date on what's happening. Why don't you just because this story is there, just let our listeners know if they want access. You guys will remove some of the bias that is in Associated Press stories, but let our listeners know how they can get to AFN and get it in their box.
Absolutely. You know, when we started AFN almost 30 years ago now, it was our hope that we would have a news service that would provide you with all the news of the day.
Right.
There are some Christian news services out there that deal with just what we like to say, just these Christian news. But we wanted a one-stop that we kept everybody up to date with stories like this crash at LaGuardia last night. But we are there for free every day. We send out an email with the top stories of the day. If you go to our website, afn.net, go to our website. Up in the right-hand corner, you can sign up for a daily email. And we will send you a summary of the big stories of the day. And we do have stories, obviously, that impact our Christian listeners. And we go at those stories from a Christian perspective.
Right.
Politics, what's going on in our culture today. We do a lot of stories on the battle over transgenderism.
Yeah.
You know, the mainstream media will favor the transgender side of things, but we want people to know from a biblical perspective, where does that story stand? So go to afn.net, put your email in. We promise one email a day, Monday through Friday.
By the way, I did look this up. I thought I had read something here last week. It says from an NPR story, but other stories as well, air traffic control has been significantly affected by the government shutdown. This says, while controllers are considered essential workers and must work without pay, shutdowns lead to staffing shortages, mandatory overtime, increased stress, often causing major flight delays, cancellations, and reduced safety margins. Now, I'm not saying that is what caused this or contributed to this, but I do wonder if it's a major airport, if maybe some of that entered into it. Who knows? The National Traffic Safety Board is going to be looking at this. I guess we'll find out here in the days to come.
A lot of factors in this. As I said, the weather was bad. It's late at night. Maybe they're about to change shifts, ATC shifts. You know, he had a plane on approach. He had an emergency, sending out a fire truck. I mean, he's dealing with a lot of stuff here.
Yeah.
So,
well,
no condemnation here.
Right.
You know, it's a wonder if you consider how many flights there are in America each day, and Canada. It's just a wonder there aren't more accidents than there are. But now, the air traffic controllers, are they, when you say government shutdown, there was a government shutdown a few months ago. The government is open and being paid for today, except for the Department of Homeland Security. So, but the air traffic controllers, they don't fall under that department, do they? They don't.
No, not Department of Homeland Security, I don't think.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is there's no government shutdown that relates to them, except there was a few months ago when everything was shut down. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's no longer relevant to the air traffic controllers. It is.
Well,
it is to TSA.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
You know, whenever we talk about air traffic, I invite people to go to Flight Aware.
Yeah.
If you want a picture of what's happening right now,
in terms of how many flights are
how many airplanes are in the air going every different direction.
Yeah, I don't need to know that. I fly a lot, and I really don't need to. I look out my window and see other planes.
Yeah, that's close enough.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
By the way, and I'm going to ask an elementary question, and I should know the answer to this, but I think I do. When jets are in the air, airplanes of any kind, and they're traveling east to west, west to east, isn't there, don't they alternate the 1,000-foot
yes.
distance?
Westbound is even numbers. Eastbound is odd numbers.
Okay.
So heading to Los Angeles, 36,000 feet.
Okay.
Heading to New York from Los Angeles,
35.
39,
35.
35. Yeah.
I got you. Did
Yeah.
you know that, Ed?
I did not.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad to provide that information to you.
Well,
man.
next time I fly a plane, that will come in handy.
Just so if the pilot says we're going a certain,
Yeah. If he says we're at 36,000
you need to go up
feet,
there and knock
and
on
we're
the
going
door.
the wrong direction, say, now, wait a second.
Yeah, you need to go up there and knock on the door, see how that goes, right?
With two choices, I
Pardon
assure
me,
you.
excuse me,
I'll get
sir.
it
I think
wrong.
we're supposed to be at 35,000.
Are we heading west?
What about north and south? What do you do then, Fred?
Well, there's always a slight variance there.
Okay.
You know, so if it's kind of northeast, you would go with the odd numbers. But they keep that about 1,000 feet in. But sometimes, you know, if like you were saying, when you get aboard a plane, you're looking out the window. Man, that looks close.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It just goes underneath.
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
How? Wow.
I know.
1,000 feet doesn't look like much.
No.
Yeah.
By the way, there were two people killed, sadly, in the accident.
Yes.
There in New York, the Air Canada pilot and the co-pilot.
Mhm.
It could have been, that's tragic enough. It could have been a lot worse.
Yes.
It could have had all the passengers killed in something like that situation. But and a few of them are hospitalized, and some of them have
serious injuries.
Serious injuries. But that's LaGuardia Airport in New York City. LaGuardia Airport in New York City basically handles probably 50%, 60%. I'm just guessing of the domestic air traffic into New York City.
Right.
Newark Airport also handles a lot of the domestic traffic into the city. JFK is basically for international flights. There are some, domestic flights, but basically that's an international airport. I don't think there are any international flights in LaGuardia, with the exception of Canadian flights coming in. I would guess that would be the case. Maybe Mexico. All right, you're listening to today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. Well, President Trump is making news,
He
and
is.
he doesn't make news very often, but he's usually a low-key guy. But now he's saying that the war with Iran will be settled in 5 days if, quote, all goes well, end quote, if everything goes well. What's going on here, Fred?
Well, some of our folks may have heard on the weekend, President Trump set a 48-hour deadline for the Iranians to secure passage for all ships going through the Strait of Hormuz.
Right.
He said, if you don't do that, Iran, we're going to start blowing up your power plants.
Right.
All right? Which would leave the country of 91 million people without any power. So we heard this morning, by way of President Trump on Truth Social, that apparently some talks aimed at settling the whole war took place during the weekend. And as a result of those talks going on, President Trump announcing this morning, okay, I am going to hold off on my threat to start bombing. And so, needless to say, when the president was getting set to leave Florida this morning, he's heading to Memphis, Tennessee today, he talked to reporters about all of this, and he added quite a few details as to what happened on the weekend with these talks. Cut number 8.
We have had very, very strong talks. We'll see where they lead. We have major points of agreement. I would say almost all points of agreement. Perhaps that hasn't been conveyed. The communication, as you know, has been blown to pieces. They're unable to talk to each other. But we've had very strong talks. Mr. Witkoff and Mr. Kushner had them. They went, I would say, perfectly. I would say that if they carry through with that, it'll end that problem, that conflict. And I think it'll end it very, very substantially. We have very much in mind our partners in the Middle East. We've had great relationships with a lot of them, as you know. A lot of them were surprisingly hit, and I was surprised to see it, and so was everyone else. But we have, they're very much in mind in the discussions. So the discussions took place yesterday. They went into yesterday evening. They want very much to make a deal. We'd like to make a deal too. We're going to get together today by probably phone because it's very hard to find a country. It's very hard for them to get out, I guess. But we'll at some point very, very soon meet. We're doing a 5-day period. We'll see how that goes. And if it goes well, we're going to end up with settling this. Otherwise, we'll just keep bombing our little hearts out.
I'm sorry, what?
Just keep bombing our little hearts out. Well, listen, President Trump.
He just has a way with words.
He does have a way with words.
Yeah.
I just a couple of things here.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, President Trump is the most optimistic person I've ever watched from afar. He just always believes in what he's doing, and he believes this is going to work out. Okay. Second of all, I would say
nobody's ever seen anything like it.
Nobody's ever seen anything like this guy, and that is working to his advantage.
Yeah.
Because the fact that he just has been bombing at will, and is basically, I mean, he says things like, we're running Venezuela. I might take Cuba. I don't know. I might take
Greenland.
Cuba.
Look out, Greenland. You're going to be ours.
Canada, 51st state.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Now what he's doing to Iran, if I was an Iranian leader, okay, I would think, yeah, he'll do it. He'll blow up our power stations, power plants. Whatever he says he'll do, he'll probably do. So they don't have to deal with theoretical when it comes to Donald Trump. He has, whether you agreed with us going to war with Iran or not, he's handled it masterfully. Of course, the military's done all the heavy lifting. But in terms of green lighting it, the Iranian leaders, what's left of them, okay, they know he's fully capable of ending Iran as a functioning state, and he seems willing to do it. So if I were them, I would play ball. And
yeah, but you know what? What makes me wonder about this is Iran could have avoided what we think might happen now, if you believe what President Trump is talking about, and I do. That they're having constructive talks with Iran. You could have avoided all this misery on your country had 3 weeks ago you just agreed to what you're about to agree to now. It sounds like to me this is insanity on their part.
But did you ever go ahead, Fred?
But here's the interesting point. He was asked there in this what we call a scrum, just before he boarded Air Force One this morning.
What's he in Memphis for, by the way?
He's there to celebrate the victory of the task force, in Memphis, arresting the bad guys, et cetera, et cetera. So they're going to give a little update on what they've been able to do in Memphis.
I'm sorry, interrupted you there.
All right. So he was asked the question, well, who are you negotiating with? Because you kind of killed off, a lot of the religious leaders. He would not answer that question. But it's not the latest religious leader who we haven't seen. We've read statements from, but nobody has seen him. It's not him. All right. So there's a bit of a mystery as to who
speaks for Iran.
Who's speaking for Iran right now.
Right.
The speculation is it is someone who wants to bring this to an end, who perhaps, and right now Trump seems to be trusting this individual, that they would lead some kind of new government in Iran. So it's a bit of a mystery. Now, the other thing is that the president, in his Truth Social announcement this morning, said they wouldn't bomb over the next 5 days the power plants. But he didn't say we're going to stop bombing altogether.
Right.
And the Israelis had not said we're stopping bombing because of this. Apparently, Prime Minister Netanyahu is obviously aware of these negotiations that are going on. So it's going to be interesting to watch things today with regards to any military action going on today. Was Trump saying, okay, we're not going to bomb the power plants, but we may do some other things? So you may hear reports of some bombing going on today. That's not clear yet.
Because President Trump, in ordering Iran to clear the Straits of Hormuz, gave them 48 hours.
Yes.
And that deadline was originally supposed to expire tonight.
Correct.
But now he has given an extension while these talks supposedly are going on, right?
That's where we are right now.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully this all ends in the next few days. By this all, I mean the war, and Iran surrenders and says, please stop. So, I don't know if they'll say please stop, but it's some kind of surrender to the U.S. and to Israel because, but I hate to be skeptical, but I do believe President Trump is telling the truth when he says they are negotiating with Iran, but
yeah.
I don't know. These people, by these people, I mean the Iranian Ayatollah, they're like, excuse the expression, hell-bent on forcing their ideology on everybody who disagrees with them. And they have, they're still launching weapons right now, missiles right now. Of course, we are too.
Yeah.
But, I guess I'm having a hard time envisioning Iran saying, you know what? We apologize to the people of America. You're not the great Satan.
Well, they're not going to do that.
And okay.
Yeah.
Well, I got a little carried away there with my antics. I'll just say I can't imagine them saying we were for ceasing war with Israel and anybody else. America and anybody else. We're going to stop it. We're not going to initiate that.
And we're not going to try to build back our nukes.
Yeah. I want to see them say that.
That would be an amazing accomplishment.
Yeah. We'll be back momentarily. Stay with us.
It's my turn.
Here is your host for My Turn, Don Wildmon.
There's a man in the New Testament who is surely one of the most overlooked and under-recognized characters in the Bible. His name is Barnabas. What kind of person was he? Well, we're told that when the young, struggling church at Jerusalem needed financial help, he sold his property and gave the income to the church. We're told also that on another occasion, he and Paul took an offering at the church in Antioch and carried it to Jerusalem to help those left needy because of a famine. Not only did Barnabas help with the financial needs of the people, but he helped them in other ways as well. When the church at Antioch needed more leadership, Barnabas went to Tarsus and persuaded Paul to return with him and help. But there's another quality that Barnabas had that even overshadowed those. After Paul had been converted to the Christian faith and wanted desperately to meet with the Christian leaders in Jerusalem, they refused to see him. They were suspicious of him, afraid he might still be seeking to do them harm. Paul searched in vain to get someone to take him to the church leaders, but no one dared take the chance. No one, that is, but Barnabas. Barnabas risked his all, his reputation, and even probably and possibly his life, when he volunteered to introduce Paul to the church leaders. Barnabas reasoned that you should not hold a man's past against him when he had had a change in heart. Sometime later, when Paul was preparing for what is commonly known as the second missionary journey, he refused to include John Mark in his group. Mark had deserted Paul and Barnabas in the middle of their first journey, and Paul held this against Mark. But Barnabas was the type of person who dared to give a man another chance. So he separated from Paul and carried John Mark with him. He again risked his reputation to give a person another chance. I've often wondered where the world would be without Barnabas. There's a possibility that Paul would have never become one of the apostles and would not have been able to accomplish his great work. And there is a chance that John Mark would have turned his back on the new faith. If that had happened, we'd be much the poorer. For it was Mark who wrote the first recorded account that we have of the life and teachings of Christ. If you doubt how great that contribution of Mark is, You must remember that of the 666 verses contained in Mark's Gospel, all but 30 are copied by either Matthew or Luke in their works. Take away Mark's material, and the material contained in the first 3 Gospels would be little indeed. When Paul needed a friend but didn't deserve one, Barnabas was there. When Mark needed a friend but didn't deserve one, Barnabas was there. There's always a need for a Barnabas. You know, the world is a better place and much richer because of Barnabas. His kind is still needed today and will be as long as the world endures.
This has been My Turn with Don Wildmon, a production of the American Family Association.
For he has rescued us from the dominion of darkness and brought us into the kingdom of the Son he loves. Colossians 1:13.
American Family Radio. This is today's issues. Email your comments to comments@afr.net. Past broadcasts of today's issues are available for listening and viewing in the archive at afr.net. Now, back to more of today's issues.
So my March Madness, and we're not talking about the war with Iran.
Your brackets?
My brackets kind of, I got 2 teams left that were, 2 of my Final Four picks gone.
Well, who expected Iowa to beat Florida?
I picked Florida to go to the Final Four. They're out.
Yeah.
The Hawkeyes took them down. You know they brought back Caitlin Clark to play for them.
No, I didn't know that.
It's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, that's what a wonderful story that is.
That is. So they took down the Gators, and then I picked Virginia to go to the Final Four. They were a 3 seed, and they lost last night to who beat them? Who beat Virginia?
Was it Tennessee?
Yeah, Tennessee, the Volunteers. So anyway, for those who have brackets, what do you got left? What are you looking at?
I was looking at the bracket. Just
who's your pick to win it all? Do you have a pick to win it all in the men's?
I do. I forget who I picked.
Oh, you just.
The only reason
we have a
filled out a bracket,
contest going on here at AFA and AFR. We have a lottery type thing. No, I'm just kidding.
It was UConn. That's who I picked.
Okay, you picked UConn to win it all.
UConn.
Okay. No, people, we don't have a gambling operation going on here, so don't.
There's a gift card at stake and a half day of vacation.
Yes, so it's substantial.
It is.
What you can win if you win the men's and the women's tournament. We got the men's and women's tournament. Just a little fun thing we're doing here at the office, but we are keeping up with it. So who do you got winning the women's side? Do you know?
I forget. I forget who I picked.
Yeah,
I'm a hockey guy. You
go with colors of teams, don't you? Whatever color you like.
I basically went with the top seeds.
Right.
Because last year I said I have a feeling I'm going with an upset here. No, and these
when you don't know squat about it, you go with the higher seed.
So I'm just in case the Lord smiles upon me. I went with high seeds so I can be in the running for the gift card and the extra half day of vacation.
So the Lord cares about this?
No, he does not.
Okay. I just want to make sure. You said the Lord smiles on you.
He smiles on me every day.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Right there. All right. So we'll see how but March Madness is a lot of fun. Even if you're just a peripheral sports fan, the drama of these games, because it's you win or you're going home. You're going home. Your season's over.
Yeah.
So these teams are like playing their hearts out each and every game. And you see occasionally David does take down Goliath too. In some of these games.
And
that's a lot of fun.
I think I had Arizona go into the Final Four. They got beat, didn't they?
No, Arizona hadn't got beat.
Oh.
No, Arizona plays Arkansas next.
Okay.
The Razorbacks. All right. By the way, the Razorbacks played High Point the other day. You ever heard of High Point before this tournament?
I watched the end of that.
They're a university in North Carolina.
Yeah.
High Point University. I was not familiar with them, but their men's and their women's team both made the NCAA tournament. I watched them play Arkansas, and they have a little guard on the High Point team.
Yeah.
Quickest guy I ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
On a basketball court. Just amazing. I forgot his name, but he was just like you ever seen a water bug out on the lake?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like a water bug out on the lake. I mean bug. I said it right. You looked at me like I didn't say it right. Like water.
No. I was just trying to imagine
a water bug.
The water bug on the court.
Yeah, it's a little water bug. He looks like a little water bug out
Just
there.
going in between all the players.
That's right. That's right. All right, you're listening to today's issues on American Family Radio. Hey, that stock market likes what President Trump's saying about the war, doesn't it, Fred?
Yeah, it was up around 1,000 points. I think it's 950 right at the moment as we're speaking here.
Keep going.
And the price of oil down to $6 or $7 a barrel. So,
well, that's good because gas is up like $1 a gallon.
Yeah,
on
pretty
average.
crazy out there.
You see? Are you watching this?
I watch it every time I fill my car up.
Yes.
You think Democrats are going to put a little sign on the pump saying, with Trump saying I did this?
Remember with Biden they did.
Yeah, I did this.
Yeah, I did this.
When the gas prices went up. But that's kind of an original idea there. So they're going to have to come up with something different. Now, Vice President Vance is saying that the gas prices are temporarily inflated, and I tend to believe him. I know you have to be careful about all politicians on either side of the fence because they're always going to spin things the way they want it to be told. They want it to be. So you have to look out for that. But I do think there is logic to Vice President Vance saying, these are just temporary increases in oil prices, and as soon as oil prices come down, the gas prices at the pump will come down. But they have gone up like $1 in the last 2 weeks or so. Yeah. Am I right?
Yeah. To your point, it's really interesting. Fox was interviewing General Jack Keane, retired, this morning to react to Trump's announcement this morning. And he was saying, okay, good to negotiate. However, if the United States does not leave this war, not controlling the Strait of Hormuz, the United States will have lost. Because this is all about oil.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. He says coming out of these negotiations, the United States has to ensure that the Strait of Hormuz is not going to be under the thumb of Iran going forward. That has to be part of the negotiations because
that makes sense.
It makes a whole lot of sense. Now, if the Iranians are going to agree to that, that's a whole other thing. But Jack Keane is saying no. Victory has to be defined by ensuring the Strait of Hormuz is not under the thumb of Iran.
You know what? Okay, if you look at the map over there, you got Iran on one side, the Strait of Hormuz it divides Iran into. Is it Saudi Arabia?
Yes. The Emirates goes out.
United Arab Emirates
goes out.
That's on the other side of the Strait of Hormuz. You got Iran on one side.
You've got that little finger that goes up there, and the Strait of Hormuz is at the end of that finger, and the other side of the finger is Iran.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you have the United Arab Emirates, and then just to the southeast of that is Oman.
Dubai is really close.
Yeah.
Dubai, I didn't realize how close Dubai was to Iran.
Yeah.
Well, and it's basically right there. It's kind of very close to the.
But that's the only way out for ships coming from going to where?
Persian Gulf back out to eventually the Indian Ocean.
Yes.
Okay. So they have to go, and it's 20 miles at its narrowest point.
Yeah,
is what I've read across
the Gulf of
way.
Oman. So you have the Persian Gulf. Then you have to go through the Strait of Hormuz, and then it's the Gulf of Oman, and then into the Indian Ocean.
I think it's been renamed.
The Gulf of Trump.
The Strait of Trump.
Strait of Trump.
Not of Hormuz anymore. Trump just announced that this morning. Did you know this?
I did not.
Yeah. So listen, hopefully and prayerfully this thing gets over with. Pardon me if I'm a little skeptical because, as the reasons I mentioned before the break, these guys in Iran are a different breed.
Yeah.
They're not rational human beings. They are ideologues. I'm talking about the religious leaders. And they're the ones who control the military. By the way, did you see where they're still executing people in public?
Yes.
That's why I want this. I want the Iranian people to be free.
Yeah.
Of this murderous regime. There's no telling what kind of fear these people live under. Listen, even if they're Muslims, I don't hate all Muslims, but and there are an increasing number of Christians in Iran. I just, to live under that kind of a dictatorship, they're butchers, man.
Did you see what they did the other day with that wrestler?
Yeah,
that internationally known. He may be an Olympian. I'm not sure, but they executed him.
They hung him in public.
And it was. That's what creates. If you wonder, you've heard this before. If you wonder for the people of Iran, you say, "Well, rise up." Well, like I heard the other day, a lady said, "Well, they can't rise up, at least right now, because there may be a lot of people who want freedom and want to get rid of the regime, but they're inside their homes, and the people who are keeping them from protesting or from, quote, rising up are the people outside of their houses that have guns, and they're roaming the streets, and they're executing people, and they're arresting them, and they're intimidating them. That's why. And in case, remember those girls the soccer team who were in Australia, the Iranian soccer team girls?
Yeah. And
half of them wanted to claim asylum, and for political reasons not go back to Iran, and then 2 or 3 of them said, I could change their mind because their families were being
right.
They were afraid what would happen to their families if they didn't go back.
That's right.
To Iran. But so they this is the way totalitarian governments and regimes operate. So it's with absolute instilling terror in people to keep them in line. That's been that way down through history, whether it's a secular totalitarian government like communism, like in China, same thing, in the sense that they keep their people suppressed, and they will hang you, they will arrest you, they will whatever it needs to, they'll destroy your house, your building, whatever, to keep the intimidation factor. That's how they rule millions and millions of people. It's the same way in Iran, except that it's not secular, it's religious. It's a religious totalitarian authority there in government in Iran.
Well, and to your point, what we don't want to see happen is for Iran to say, okay, we'll make a deal, and then 6 months from now they go, well, we're not keeping the deal, and then we got to go and do this all over again. And I understand that we want the Strait of Hormuz open and for oil prices to come down, but to me, I think this is a failure if there's not. No, it's not a full, complete failure because they have seriously degraded Iran's military. That's a good thing. But if we don't get regime change there in that country, I'm afraid we're just going to go back and be doing this again. I don't know. They may reconstruct their military in 5 years. Who knows? I'd hate to have to do this all over again.
Yeah. Go ahead, Fred.
Yeah, there's just one more thing that we learned on the weekend that people need to pay attention to, because Iran was able to launch a missile towards the Diego Garcia. That is an island that the UK has in the Indian Ocean that we, the United States, have used as a launching base in the past. It's 2,500 miles from Iran. They were able to launch a missile to hit that Diego Garcia. Why is that important? Because that we now know they have the propulsion capability to send a missile that could reach Europe as well. We weren't sure about this, and people like Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu have warned about this, and he said, on learning that, and I think the Israelis knew this already, he says the whole world needs to be put on notice. Cut number 10.
If you want proof that Iran endangers the entire world, the last 48 hours have given it. They have now the capacity to reach deep into Europe. They already have fired on a European country, Cyprus. They are putting everyone in their sights.
Yeah, so I think that was a message to the UK, to France. If you think by not getting involved and helping the United States in this battle that you're going to be kept secure from all of this, pay attention. The Iranians, they have been working under the guise of a space initiative, etc. But really, what a lot of people thought was they're developing rockets that they can put missiles on and send them wherever they want.
All right, let me ask you a question about the Strait of Hormuz, because this is a critical point in the war. Do we, the United States, depend on that? Do we depend on the oil coming through there, merchant ships coming through there? Because I thought President Trump said over the weekend, listen, we're going to get out of this Strait of Hormuz, I'm paraphrasing, because it doesn't matter to us, because we don't do any business there anyway. I thought he said something to that effect. In other words, it's all on.
Yeah.
You want it open. You people you got countries who depend on it. You do it.
Well, he talked about that this morning in his brief remarks to reporters. And what we have to understand, oil is a global commodity, and that if you cut back on availability to oil going to China, to Russia, to India, to Pakistan, whatever the case may be, that drives up the price for the whole world.
Because they've got to buy it from somebody else.
Yes.
Who has been selling it to country X.
Yeah.
And then they say, oh, well, the price just went up because we have other.
Yes. It's the old supply and demand thing. Trump was asked by a reporter this morning, but you're talking about part of the deal perhaps is allowing tankers to leave through the Strait of Hormuz. Aren't you just, giving up an ace or a card that you could play? And he said, no. We want that oil going to China, and we want it going all of these other places because that will help bring the price down for American consumers as well.
Okay. All right. You're listening to today's issues on American Family Radio. A lot of 401ks are happy today after having a sad emoji.
Yes.
The last few days. You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm not following.
The 401ks.
Oh, 401ks.
I know you and I don't care because we don't. Our 401ks are stationary.
So this is the volatility. What's the saying you always talk about?
Yeah.
If you're in the stock market and you're young, it'll always come back.
Yeah, it will.
If you're in the stock market and you're old,
yeah, you're toast. If it goes down, you're toast.
Because then you're stuck. You may have to wait 5 years for you to recover.
Yeah, I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Do you do that?
No,
I don't do that anymore. I quit doing that. The last time it took a nosedive.
Yeah.
I mean a real nosedive, like in stop.
Like 2008.
Yeah. 2000, and then it did it again. Now I know it comes back. I mean, we've had a quote roaring stock market for the last at least since Trump's been back in office, and even in Biden's time, it was doing pretty good. But yeah, no, you get closer to retirement age, there's less risk. You're ready. You can handle that. Most people say, yeah, I'm not going to do that. Not going to put it there. It can just sit there.
Yeah.
And have a little small, but not put it where it can, stock market can wipe out your.
I do look forward to gas prices plummeting.
Do you?
In the next day, because that's the way they go up. They skyrocket when there's, like when we were talking about the first blows being exchanged with this war with Iran. Man, they went up 50 cents almost like over the weekend because the gas stations are having to speculate on what the price of oil will be that they'll buy when they have to fill up the gas tanks. So we'll see if it works the opposite.
Well, if the world ever runs out of oil, we're all in trouble, aren't we? We're gonna go back to bike riding and hiking and walking and.
No? I'm not.
Okay.
I just stay at my house.
Okay. Well,
I'll send my wife. She can get on her bike and go to the grocery
that's
store.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You're the man of the house.
That's right. I guess someone's got to protect it.
So send your wife out, right? All right, Fred, what's next?
Speaking of protection, you probably have seen the stories over the last several days, airports with TS guys not being paid, guys and women not being paid. A lot of them.
That's because the Democrats have shut it down.
That's right.
Democrats have shut funding down for the Department of Homeland Security.
Yes. And TSA, more and more TSA officers are saying, okay, you're not paying me, I'm not coming to work. Can't blame them. There were reports on the weekend in Atlanta, people were waiting 6 hours to get through that checkpoint. Now, 6 hours.
6 hours.
By the time you get there, your flight has gone. So the irritation level going up and up and up. Well, it was announced on the weekend that President Trump is sending ICE officers into some of the busy airports. In fact, one of those airports is Atlanta. Now, you mentioned it, Tim.
What is ICE going there for?
They're going there to help out what TSA agents are already there, all right? They're not going there for Border Patrol. Now, Hakeem Jeffries, the minority leader in the House, says this is terrible. They're going to be grabbing people's children and deporting them. I want you to listen what he had to say. Cut number 5.
The last thing that the American people need are for untrained ICE agents to be deployed at airports all across the country, potentially to brutalize or in some instances kill them. We've already seen how ICE conducts itself. These are untrained individuals when it comes to doing the current job that they have for the most part, let alone deploying them in close exposure and highly sensitive situations at airports across the country.
Well, I'm not sure if Hakeem Jeffries is simply ignorant of what's going on or he's just being a politician. These ICE agents that are showing up, and we do know they're at Atlanta and several other airports this morning, they are unmasked. They are there to help TSA.
Are they dressed in TSA uniforms?
No, they're not. Okay. The ones that I have seen so far. They are there to kind of direct traffic. There are some reports that they will be used to help actually guide people as they're going through those checkpoints, et cetera, et cetera. Watch over people as their luggage is being checked, that sort of thing. They are not there. They're not targeting illegal immigrants. That's not their job there. But Hakeem Jeffries trying to make it sound like they're going to, as you heard him say, they may kill people at the airport.
Oh, that's ignorant. Who believes this stuff?
Well, and you want to say, well, Congressman, there are trained people to do this. You just won't pay them. You've got the government shut down.
Let me just tell folks something I didn't even know I learned over the weekend. Okay, under the Department of, in the last bill that was passed to fund the government, when was that last? Was that the big, beautiful bill? One big, beautiful? Anyway.
I think so.
Okay.
Because we haven't had a reconciliation bill this year.
So it was the money to pay for the ICE agency, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those agents are being paid. It's been approved through 2019.
29.
Yeah, but we paid them through 19 too, guys.
Okay.
Why do you always have to correct me? I was going to say
you weren't wrong. You just misspoke.
I was going to say they were paid through 19, and they're also paid through 2029. Now, does that make it clear?
Yeah, absolutely, that's clear.
Okay, so they're paid through 2029. ICE agents. The Democrats they don't want the ICE agents paid because they want the ICE they view ICE as unnecessary. Now I don't know if all of them say it like this, but they won't. They either want to eliminate them altogether, that is ICE, because they don't believe in borders and certainly don't believe in border enforcement, or they want to handcuff them, the ICE agents, because of and they want to exploit the 2 deaths of the people in Minnesota to strike fear in the hearts of American people that this is a rogue agency. Well, you heard him right there.
Yeah. They're liable to kill people.
That's what they're going. Well, liable to kill people. They're just going to go in and start shooting people in the airport. That's the image you get from what this guy Hakeem Jeffries. He's a Democrat leader.
Yeah.
But so what the Democrats are doing there by not agreeing to pay for the agency, the Department of Homeland Security. That's the only agency that's being stopped from government funding. So that's a partial shutdown of the government because Department of Homeland Security, they're a pretty big agency, a pretty big deal. They include the TSA agents that work the airport. Okay, so here's my point: the Democrats are not paying. They're not paying the TSA agents. So these TSA agents all over America at the airports, they've been working for what now, 4 to 6 weeks, I think it is, without pay. And some of them are saying that we can't go on like now. I know they're going to get back pay when everything is resolved, but as for now, the Democrats are not. They're not bending. They're not going to want to pay for the Department of Homeland Security, which puts a lot of other agents, a lot of other people at risk too. The airports, the travelers. I don't understand. I thought that ICE was being the ones unfunded. That's the reason I thought, well, this is why the Democrats are doing it. But no, ICE is funded. So they're only hurting the TSA agents, namely, and therefore the American air traveler who are standing in these lines because TSA is losing people. I don't know what the ultimate point here is.
Well, I think
the end game for the Democrats.
It's to put pressure on Republicans because people are angry about the travel delays and the canceled flights.
But it's the Democrats who are not funding them. I don't know how they get angry at Republicans.
Well, they're just simply saying, then contact the Republicans and tell them to do X, Y, Z to ICE, and then we'll fund it.
Yeah. Well, if the Democrats didn't have the mainstream media in their favor, this would be a big political loser for them.
Yeah.
And it may yet be. We'll have to see how this all plays out. But anyway, we'll be back momentarily with more of today's issues on the American Family Radio Network.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
Their investment is only for Donald Trump. It's not for the Republican Party. And I think this is another thing that we as conservatives have failed to do during the entire arc of the Trump era is actually take the Trump voters and convert them into genuine conservatives.
Start your weekdays with insight from Jenna Ellis in the morning, 7 o'clock Central Time on American Family Radio.
This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. President Trump says planned U.S. strikes on Iranian power plants are on hold for 5 days following what he says are very good and productive conversations with Iran, even though Iran is denying those talks ever happened. Lucas Tomlinson reports from Dubai.
Over the weekend, President Trump had given Iran a 48-hour deadline that was set to expire at 7:44 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, the Iranians denied that any kind of discussions took place, but here in the UAE, it joined more than 20 nations that have signed on to help open the Strait of Hormuz and condemned Iran's action. They said they would be willing to contribute, but did not list any specifics. And now it's over 8,000 strikes hitting targets deeper now inside Iran, though Iran still averaging over 60 drones and over 24 ballistic missile launches each day throughout countries in the region.
President Trump heading to Memphis today to discuss his crime initiative. Before departing, he spoke with reporters about the pending vote for Oklahoma Senator Markwayne Mullin to become the new Secretary of Homeland Security. The president says he believes the senator is a perfect fit for the job.
He's a fantastic guy. I think he's just the right guy. You all know him. He's a very open, smart guy, very successful actually in business, which people don't know, and he's a friend of mine. I think Markwayne is going to be fantastic.
2 people were killed in a collision between a jet and a fire truck on a runway at New York's LaGuardia Airport last night. Former NTSB investigator Alan Deal says it will take a while to sort this all out.
Everybody's trying to do their job, but somehow the timing got off, okay? Now, whether or not this was because of some sort of distraction, this is what the NTSB will have to sort out over the next days and weeks.
ICE agents are being deployed to airports this morning as travelers are forced to wait hours as TSA workers call out sick as the DHS funding stalemate continues. Madison Scarpino is in Atlanta, where ICE agents have already arrived.
We've already seen ICE agents out here helping out with line management, crowd control, just like Border Czar Tom Homan said they would. And this is all in part to help alleviate these astronomical lines that we've been seeing here in Atlanta and at other major airports across the country. People are waiting in these TSA lines for hours, a lot of people missing their flights. So I want to give you guys the perspective of a traveler. This is Janet. Janet, tell us a little bit about how long you've been waiting in line and what you think about all of this.
We have been in line since 5:30 this morning. We drove up to Atlanta from South Georgia. We left about 3 o'clock this morning. Congress needs to get to work, get it done. The American people don't deserve this. TSA needs to get paid. This is ridiculous.
And, you know, of course, this is all happening because, as you just mentioned, TSA workers, they're getting $0 paychecks right now. And that's part of the reason why that ICE agents are now here helping them out, trying to make these lines shorter.
A national defense analyst says he has seen little evidence that Iran's exiled crown prince has a significant enough following among Iran's 93 million population to lead the country.
Reza Pahlavi announced that he is ready to lead Iran's transition, quote, as soon as the Islamic Republic falls. Pahlavi, who is a son of the late Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, announced that he has been working in recent months to develop a transition plan should the Iranian regime collapse in order to ensure the country does not experience a disruption in governance. Pahlavi said in a social media post in Farsi that, quote, capable individuals have been identified both inside and outside Iran to lead what he called a transitional system. But Pahlavi has lived in exile since the 1979 Islamic Revolution toppled Iran's monarchy and established the Islamic Republic. And many question whether he would have the support of the Iranian people. Bob McGinnis is a national defense analyst and president of McGinnis Strategies, LLC.
Yeah, I don't see that he has a significant following among the 93 million Iranians. Certainly, I would argue that MEK and NCRI more of a following inside Iran, but I'm just not aware of that, and he has yet to articulate that to convince anyone. That's in part why Trump and his senior officials in state have not met with the Crown Prince. He has a title, but it doesn't really mean much unless you can cause things to happen inside.
I'm Chad Groening.
For American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh.
Looking to take the next step in your education? Blue Mountain Christian University offers graduate degree programs designed for working adults who want to grow professionally and personally. With graduate studies in business, education, and kinesiology, BMCU combines academic excellence with a Christian worldview. With flexible and hybrid formats and supportive faculty, you can pursue a graduate degree while balancing work, family, and calling. Learn more at bmc.edu.
Today's Issues continues on AFR with your host, Tim Wildmon, president of the American Family Association.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to AFR. And I told you an hour ago, in case you forgot, today's Monday.
In case you forgot, who doesn't know when it's Monday, man?
Monday. Do rainy days and Mondays always get you down?
They do.
Yeah.
They do. That is, you know what? That is extremely accurate for me. Mondays and rainy days.
Yeah.
I just like
you and Karen Carpenter.
I just want every day to be a Friday, Tim.
Well, sorry.
I should write a book that has that title.
Hey, Steve Jordahl.
I'm in a mama's and papa's mood. Monday, Monday.
Oh, that's another
so
Monday.
So good to me.
Name me one other song from the 70s that mentions Monday.
Do you have one
How
in
about
mind?
from the
or is it
80s?
just-
Huh? All right. 80s.
Manic Monday.
Well, yeah, you got that. That's true.
Well, I know there's a Beatles song that's from the 60s that has a reference to Monday in it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but do you
There's
have
a song by Jimmy Buffett called "Come Monday"?
Oh yeah, come Monday,
Yeah,
it'll be all right.
Pretty fun song there.
Yeah.
All right, what's going on, Steve?
Oh, not much.
Not much. Okay.
Not much.
All right, folks. That's all the time we have.
We'll see you tomorrow,
issues.
everybody.
All right, enjoy some smooth jazz for the next 30 minutes.
I wanted to start here. We have a president that has a little bit of a sense of humor, even if it is a little biting. Did you remember that the president had the Japanese Prime Minister, Sane Takaichi, in the Oval Office?
What's your name, Steve?
Sane Takaichi.
Yeah.
Takaichi, sorry.
Can you pronounce that, Ed?
I can, but I don't want to show off.
I got you.
This is the thing I've learned about Japanese is it's always pretty much pronounced like it's spelled. There's not a lot of deceptive stuff in Japanese spellings. Anyway,
she's in Washington at the White House.
Yeah, she's in the White House.
All right.
And the president opened up. She was in the Oval Office, and he invited the press in, as he will. And at one point, he gives a question for one of the Japanese reporters. He says, "Is there a Japanese reporter that would like to ask a question?" And you'll hear the question, but in case it's a little low, the Japanese reporter says, "We're wondering why you didn't give your allies like Japan a heads up that you're going to do this attack on Iran."
Okay.
Listen to his answer, cut 16.
Why didn't you tell U.S. allies in Europe and Asia, like Japan, about the war before attacking Iran? So we are very confused about Japanese citizens.
Well, one thing, you don't want to signal too much. You know, when we go in, we went in very hard, and we didn't tell anybody about it because we wanted surprise. Who knows better about surprise than Japan? Okay, why didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor? Okay.
Listen, this was late last week, was it?
I think it's yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Friday.
I was hoping we would run that because that's just it is.
Is that
not
is that a top 10 Trump moment?
He has so many
for
of
humor.
them.
I mean,
he has so many, but that was good. Now it is not diplomatic. It is tacky.
Nobody's ever accused him of that.
But it's funny. I think you said that. I think you said that
tacky.
this morning. You said that is just one of the funniest things, but it is a tacky thing to bring up.
But that reporter deserves that. He said, "Why didn't you
tell your allies?
We're confused. Why didn't you tell Japan you were going to attack Iran?" And I'm going, "That is a stupid question."
It is.
Okay, you're not even relevant here in this conversation. Maybe Israel, but that would be maybe maybe the UK. I don't know. President Trump and the U.S. does not owe anybody a heads up.
Well, the more people you tell,
that's
the
right.
more chances it could get
That's
leaked,
right.
and then Americans could die.
That's right. So it was a dumb question, and he got it, but he got an answer to. I think President Trump, he just thought of that as he was answering.
Yeah, that was off the cuff.
Yeah. Then he goes, "Who better to? What did he say?
Who knows
surprises?
Surprises like Japan.
I'd like to hear it again.
Okay,
can we do that?
It's worthy.
It's worthy of a replay.
Okay, this is President Trump. Japanese Prime Minister was in Washington, D.C. last week. Her name again, Steve?
Sane Takaichi.
Okay, she's sitting there, and the Japanese press corps asked President Trump a question. Here we go.
Why didn't you tell U.S. allies in Europe and Asia, like Japan, about the war before attacking Iran? So we are very confused we Japanese citizens.
Well, one thing, you don't want to signal too much. You know, when we go in, we went in very hard, and we didn't tell anybody about it because we wanted surprise. Who knows better about surprise than Japan? Okay, why didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor? Okay.
You can tell the moment when that thought popped into his head.
You can.
I mean, he said it was a surprise. He's trying to explain.
Filter bypass, filter bypass, filter bypass, filter bypass.
That's continually playing. That program
pops into his head, and here
we go. Well, that earlier today.
I love that.
He said if Iran doesn't do what we tell them to do, they don't agree with our terms, we're going to, quote, bomb our little hearts out.
Listen,
war is not funny.
No.
We're not laughing about that. It's just sometimes the way he says things is.
Yeah.
It's maybe even unintentionally humorous.
I don't think he was. He might have been. He might have been.
Oh, he
trying
knew
to
it was
be
funny. You could tell he could.
Well, oh yeah, but he anyway.
But bomb our little hearts out. He's just. Listen. President Trump says exactly what he's thinking. Other political leaders say what they think in private.
Yeah. Well,
Donald Trump says it publicly, and so you say, well, is either one better? Well, political leaders are saying what they think, whether it's only in private, and you're going to criticize President Trump, that's almost hypocritical. You just always know what he's thinking. When he says we're going to bomb our little hearts out, guess what? The Iranian leaders, whoever's left, they say, yeah, that's what he's going to do.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with that. What I don't like is when he insults people.
Right.
And he does, even good people sometimes, which I think is gratuitous and unnecessary and unpresidential. But off the cuff, humorous things like those things we just cited here, to me, those are just Donald Trump. That's his personality. That's who he is, and he's always been that way. So,
Anyway, thought it was fun.
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
All right, well, Pearl Harbor, not the only reference to World War II over the weekend. Lindsey Graham was on Fox News Sunday with Shannon Bream. He is urging Donald Trump to send Marines who are on the way to the theater there, not the movie theater, the war theater. He wants them to take Karg Island. Now, Karg Island is the island. It's the place where Iran's oil processing facilities are. So all the oil gets shipped to Karg Island, and then it gets distributed to whatever vessels Iran has. And so it's kind of the key to holding the Strait of Hormuz. But Lindsey Graham, I tell you, I knew he was kind of hawkish, but I had no idea. He is guns a-bleeding. He talked about bombing to your heart's content. Let's listen to what he makes. Kind of an unfortunate, in my mind, an unfortunate allusion to another World War II battle, Cut 11.
So here's what I tell President Trump. Keep it up for a few more weeks. Take Karg Island, where all of the resources they have to produce oil. Control that island. Let this regime die on a vine.
Is this going to, though, take Karg Island? Is it going to involve U.S. troops on the ground? Let me just read you something from The Atlantic. Does an assessment on that. They say U.S. troops may well take Karg Island. We believe in their ability to do so, but only to endure ballistic missile strikes, drone attacks, petrochemical smoke, all without a reliable means of obtaining logistical support. The result could be a grinding war of attrition. They talk about how far away they would be from resupply.
I'm sort of tired of all this armchair quarterbacking. This has been an amazing military operation. God bless the fallen.
But it's a difference when we talk about troops on the ground.
I trust the Marines, not that guy. I trust DOD. We got 2 Marine expeditionary units sailing to this island. We did Iwo Jima. We can do this.
The battle for Iwo Jima took 70,000 U.S. soldiers to complete, and we lost 6,800 U.S. servicemen killed. 19,000 and change were wounded. So I'm not sure that that's what you want to hearken to when you say we're going to take Karg Island.
Listen, I like Lindsey Graham a lot of times, but he didn't want to answer that question. Or if he did, he didn't answer it that made any sense to me. Did it to you?
I didn't like his answer.
Right.
Now, listen, I am not a military person. I didn't serve in the military. Like Senator Graham, I do trust the military to carry out the wishes of the commander-in-chief. Our military, as they're proving in this war, they are very efficient. Our military is top-notch, best in the world, okay? So if they think the Marines should land at Karg Island...
What is Karg Island? That's the first I heard of that.
It is an island. It's way up in the Persian Gulf, up by Kuwait City.
Okay,
but it is in the place, I think, where the oil from Iran gets. I don't know if it gets put in tankers or I don't know what they do there, but it is a big fat target if you want to further squeeze shut the economic lifeblood of Iran. So if the military says the Marines need to take it, fine. But first of all, I don't like the idea. Again, I'm deferring to the military because I think the person who's asking the question of Senator Graham is exactly right. They're going to be stuck on that island. You have to actually go through the Straits of Hormuz if you're going to do it in terms of the Navy, to relieve those Marines there, and they're going to be subject to all sorts of attacks. And second of all, frankly, I didn't like Senator Graham's attitude towards. That's a legitimate question. The American people have a right to know.
He's saying that we can take Iwo Jima, we can take this.
Yeah, I'm sure they can take it. But then what you do? You're stuck there. I think
we lost 6,800 lives taking Iwo Jima, is what Steve's saying too. Yeah.
Yeah. It was not a
unfortunate analogy or reference,
unfortunate analogy. He should have been Senator Graham, who is in the know on a lot of these military matters. He should have understood the American people want to know if the U.S. Marines are going to get jammed up where you can't get them out, and they just sit there and get pummeled. Yep. Nobody wants that. It's a legitimate question. I didn't like him to being not only dismissive, he was like insulting about people asking these questions.
Next story, Steve.
All right. Do you have an Apple iPhone?
I do. Yes.
Well, you need to beware. Anyone with an iPhone can now be the target of invasive malware that siphons off personal text messages, photos, and notes and calendar data. Because cyber criminals have gotten their hands on spyware tools that were once the domain of governments and spy agencies. Mm-hmm. They kind of got leaked out.
This is just the kind of news I needed for a Monday, Steve. Thank you very much.
Monday.
Yeah. So what does that mean for the average?
Well, in the one case, this is a software kit, a hacking kit called Karuna. And it was a government case. Now, this has been
I've seen their commercials on TV.
I think you're thinking Corona.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
The beer
my bad.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It was taken over by cyber criminals. This isn't an app you can go to the App Store and download. But if you...
I hope not.
If you are a little savvy in hacking, you can get this. Okay. And in the one case that they said that you go to certain... Hackers deployed Karuna on fake Chinese language crypto and financial platforms, infecting vulnerable iPhones that visited the sites. You didn't even have to download or click anywhere. You just had to visit the site, and your phone would be infected.
Well, that's a real concern to me because I spend a lot of time on Chinese cryptocurrencies.
Yes.
Okay, so this is a serious thing, though.
Yeah.
So this is a serious
well, you need to keep your iPhone updated.
Yes.
As the main thing. They have software updates. iPhone does.
They do.
And I was just checking. So you need to keep your pay attention to that. Your software updates, and that's what they're. Now I've seen a lot of these stories, and a lot of them are just scare stories.
Well, it works with me.
It works. But I mean, people. So
I do update my phone. In fact, I have one waiting, a new update.
Do you? What's it waiting for?
And it says security improvement. Well, I don't like to do it like while I'm on the air. I might need my phone. But
all right. Next story, Steve.
All right. So we brought you a story a couple of weeks ago about Apple News. Apple News is one of the most viewed news aggregate services. It's on your phone. If you go, you can look at. There's a little crypto N, the letter N on an app. It's the Apple News. And this.
If you got an iPhone or an iPad, you get these. The Apple News. They send you these. Alerts.
It's automatically. Yeah. It's a news site, and it's automatically installed on your Apple phone.
It's an aggregate, though. It's not a news service per se.
Right. They link to other news services, and this has been the issue: is that they were caught. This would be Media Research Center showed in a study that this Apple they failed to link to a conservative news site
at all.
At all. Wow.
At all. Back.
Yahoo pretends.
Yeah. So they brought this up, and FTC chairman had formally warned Apple that it could be violating federal consumer protection laws against unfair, deceptive acts or practices. So they were given notice, you better start being more balanced. And so they were. We got to give them some credit. In the last month, 2%. Of all the links.
So we give them 2% credit?
2% credit. Because and what the thought is that this is just damage control. They just did it so that they could kind of check the box. There's not been a change of heart at Apple as far as their bias.
Okay, these aggregate news services like Apple, like Drudge, like Yahoo. I mentioned Yahoo. I do visit those at least during the week because I research a lot of the news stories that we would cover here on today's issues. So I usually look at those news services in the evening. But what I've noticed, if you're a consumer of these aggregate news sites, by aggregate I mean they don't provide their own news service; they link to stories. That's
right.
what I mean by aggregate. So Yahoo, and I know I'm conservative, so I'm kind of I kind of am sensitive to this, but I just I say that to say I haven't done a count, okay, myself to verify my claims here.
Right.
I'm just going on my observations. It's linked on Yahoo. It's linked 3 liberal links to every one conservative.
Yeah.
Maybe 4 to 1. They might have a Fox News link, but then there's like 3 HuffPost links.
Yeah.
You know, our Salon. They're the Yahoo. Listen, we're all have our biases, and somebody sits down at Yahoo and decides we're going to link mostly to liberal news sources.
They're making a call.
Yeah, they're making a call.
Yeah.
So and Drudge, I remember
I don't even go to Drudge anymore.
Well, I didn't for like 10 years.
Yeah.
But I went back there recently, and they got some good news links to news stories, but they're very anti-Trump. Very anti-Trump.
I don't think that Matt Drudge is in control of that
I don't
anymore.
think so
I think
either.
he sold it.
I think he did right after President Trump won in 2016.
What's another news site? Now, we encourage people to go to our own.
Yeah, AFN is a great site. We have our own reporters. I know them very well.
Yes, you're one of them.
I am one of them. But I use a site called citizenfreepress.com.
Okay.
It kind of even looks like the old
it does kind
Drudge.
of.
Now, they got no left wingers there, right?
Well, it is.
That's pretty pretty right wing, isn't it?
It is pretty conservative. It has conservative.
What's it called?
Citizen Free Press, all one word. .com is a good news aggregate service.
What do you go? What do you read, Ed? News, Fox News, or what?
I read the Bible.
Okay.
No, I go to besides AFN, I go to Fox News and New York Post.
New York Post is good
for the most
I like
part.
them.
I will sometimes go to CNN. They still do a good job of being up to speed on major events. Remember, they used to be the only game in town. And I do recognize the bias that's.
Where do you go for your Boston Bruins news?
I just go to Boston. I just Google Boston Bruins.
Whatever comes up,
and then I'll click through to wherever. And X.
How long do you spend
there? By the way, I should say X for news. I go to X.
X is very good if you have the right accounts in your feed.
Yeah.
It has a lot of what are they calling slop these days? A lot of worthless internet stuff.
Yeah.
Worthless and internet go together.
Yeah, often do, unfortunately.
Yeah.
For sure.
You're listening to today's issues on American Family Radio. We have 4.5 minutes left on this year's show.
Yeah.
And Steve will bring forth unto us our last and closing news stories.
Not everyone in the federal government is a happy camper. During Trump's first Trump 45, his first administration, he tried to start cleaning out some of the agencies, and he went with Doge. He went kind of full force at the beginning of Trump 47. And he tried to clean out all of the malcontents and those that were using our federal government for like lawfare and
is that what Elon Musk was doing?
Well, aside from the money that Elon Musk took out, he was also helping, I think, ferret out some of the malcontents. And Trump kind of has other people in there that are doing that, and he kind of knows. But at least one malcontent, at least one holdover was left at HHS, the Department of Health and Human Services. This is Robert Kennedy's department. And someone went in over the weekend and changed their answering machine. So when you called them, and of course no one's going to be there to answer your phone over the weekend, you get a message.
Right.
Well, there was someone that was playing this message for Senator Joni Ernst, Iowa Senator Joni Ernst. Listen to what it said, cut 14.
This is that same number yesterday.
Okay.
Thanks for calling Domino's Pizza. Can you please hold? Thank you.
No.
Yeah, that was up yesterday. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you for calling Domino's Pizza.
Okay, so all right, explain. So somebody, a ne'er-do-well in HHS,
yes,
changed the phone number
No,
to a
the phone
Domino's?
number's the same, but the answering machine, when you answer, it says, "You've reached HHS, please leave a message."
Yeah.
They changed it to, "You've reached Domino's."
So it's not the real Domino's.
No,
Okay.
you weren't going to get a pizza.
This reminds me of what my uncle did one time. True story. His number was one digit different than Pizza Hut delivery.
Yeah.
And and he would get calls at his house regularly.
Yeah. That would be irritating.
Yeah. So I don't know how long he fought that. He would be polite, say this isn't. So finally, he just said, "I give up," and he just started taking orders.
I remember you telling me that's one of the funniest things I've ever heard.
He just
started taking. Okay, to be ready in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh man.
He just got tired. He just said, "All right, what do you want?" All right, thank you for calling.
You have any specials? Yeah, 3 for the price of 1. Only today.
We'll have it right out. All right. All right. So, Steve, thank you.
My pleasure.
Thanks to Ed for and for a lot of things, Ed.
Oh,
yeah.
Great to hear.
Brent Creeley, our producer. Cole Green, our video man. And
Fred Jackson.
Fred Jackson, our Canadian American.
Resident.
And we'll see you tomorrow, everybody. Have a great day.